Interesting job. I've got a pair of Valliant 24 kilowatt system boilers. Customer called, had problems with the pressure loss. Found the heat exchanger on the right hand boiler had failed, so here it is down here. Basically it's got a leak just up here. One of the pipes have burst there, or fractured or rotted away, or whatever. So got some resulting damage inside there. They're just O-rings where I've changed it. So popped a new heat exchanger in, literally just fired out. Got some tests to do on this boiler now, and ready to go. But it's a big house, no weather compensation, no real proper controls here. The reason Valliant have suggested that the heat exchanger would have probably gone is because of the pipework arrangement here. So you've got, it's not even reverse returns as far as I can see, but basically it needs to be put into a low loss header or some kind of hydraulic separation, so that the boilers aren't stressed and strained and they can run on their own pumps. So that'll be the next job to do here. Also, big house, and it's only got the internal expansion vessels on the boiler, no additional expansion vessels. So over here I've got a nice big one that I'm going to be putting in later on. It's running 2 unvented cylinders, and I'm not sure what to do about the control concept. Basically, if I get the VR 700, I believe that works like a boiler controller, and will run the 2 boilers as a tandem pair, and give me weather compensation. The other alternative is if I give it a demand for hot water somehow. I need to speak to Villasar about how to do that. I could perhaps set the flow temperature on the boilers within the dew point, and operate them at high temperature when they're doing the hot water. So when I diagnosed the leak on the one on the right hand side, I isolated that boiler, left the system, and that's been left for about a week, and I've got a pressure drop in the time I was away on the remaining system with boiler attached. So I'm about to strip down the other boiler and just see if we've got a similar problem with a failed heat exchanger in that one as well, and if so I'll replace that heat exchanger also. But interesting job. Another job finished. Got called out to Valliant system losing pressure, and found the failed heat exchanger. When I spoke to Valliant, they intimated that the fact that there was no hydraulic separation on a pair of boilers may have contributed towards the failure of the heat exchanger. So I looked into the idea of a low loss header, but found that the underfloor heating system in the house here is all non-barrier pipe underfloor, and so requires plate separation according to, I think it's Viessmann's criteria. So I've done plate separation on each boiler and connected them together down at the bottom here to go off to my system. So what I did here, but normally I would put the pump on the flow from the plate heat exchanger, but I read somewhere recently in the last few weeks that you should always pump towards the biggest restriction in a system, so the point of which you get the greatest pressure loss, which I suppose is logical. The idea is to reduce the risk of cavitation, I guess, or to keep a majority of the system under a greater positive pressure, if that makes sense. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So that's what I've done. Got non-return valves in there, just to save any problems with clashing pumps. There's a phenomenon that happens, I know, on the Viessmann boilers when you put them on cascade systems, where you have to have a non-return valve on them, where you get some peculiar goings on, and I don't really understand why you do, but the cure is a non-return valve. So I just made the assumption that I might have a similar problem here and put these in just in case, but I don't actually quite understand why. If anyone knows why, I'd appreciate the information. But for now I've put them in and everything's working really well. It's a very large house, underfloor heating throughout, boilers aren't cascade control, they'll both get the same signal for on same time, and they both run at high temperature, We've not gone for weather comp here because it's the wrong manifolds and there's all sorts of complications with pipe sizing. But overall quite tidy.